Hey everybody, this is Deb with Truthification Chronicles, and this is kind of part 2 to the last video I did, which was the letter by Jim Jordan and Mark Meadows to AG Barr. So this is kind of an addition to that, because what they were asking for in that video, and if you haven't seen it, I'll put the link down below, but what they were asking for in that letter was to have AG Barr give an update on the status of Andrew McCabe's prosecution, because we know that the IG, the Inspector General, recommended that he be prosecuted for some criminal acts. And so we would like to know, because it's been a year since that IG report came out, what's been going on. And that's what they were asking for, some kind of update on the status of it, which I think is a reasonable request, actually. But this kind of explains it, I think. Now, Brian Cates here is a guy who works for Epoch Times, and he has written several articles, lately especially, that are pretty eye-opening. And so I'm going to go through this particular thread that he has. It's not really long, but he's pretty much summing up why it's taken so long for things to really get moving. I think his reasoning is very spot on. So he says, I'm still laughing my butt off at those who think the entire plot was exposed, aired out in public for the last year and a half, so that, can you believe this? I mean, really? They can let all the plotters walk away. Some people are really dumb. So what he's saying here, in case you didn't really pick up on it right off, is this whole entire plot, the plot against Trump and the whole Russian collusion thing, everything that's been going on like that, it's been aired out in public. We've seen news about it. It is now out there, so anyone who really wants to know the truth can find it. And now we're starting to get the transcripts are coming out from all these different interviews they did, and we're seeing they're all saying pretty much the same thing about it. It was all bogus. The dossier was bogus, and that's what they based everything else on. So we know that that's coming out. And so what he's saying is, it's funny that people are saying, you think this entire plot was exposed like it has been, and they're all just going to walk free? No way. That's not the reason it's been exposed like it has. And he goes on, he says, remember what I told you earlier. I wrote columns about it, and he's written several. The Trump administration strategy on the Spygate investigations, prosecutions, indictments is not to comment or even acknowledge their existence until they are ready. And that's the key, until they are ready. And I've said this before, there had to be a timing issue here. It couldn't come out right after Trump was elected. If all of this had been done, if there were prosecutions right after he was elected, people would claim they were for political reasons. And that's not what we want. We want the American people to understand that they're being done because these people stood against our president and they wanted to take him down. That's what needs to be done. That's what needs to be exposed. So this was an article here, how the DC leak culture was made powerless to thwart Spygate. There have been two competing narratives when it comes to the Spygate scandal. And so this is one of the articles that he put out. But yes, he's been putting out a lot of articles about this. And he said, now read this letter from Representatives Jim Jordan and Mark Meadows, in which they demand new AG William Barr give them an update on the criminal referral they made to the DOJ about Andrew McCabe more than a year ago. They didn't actually make it. It was the IG who made it. That's exactly what I covered in the previous video. That's the letter. Nowhere in their letter do the two House reps even mention or acknowledge the fact that there's already a grand jury investigation of McCabe being led by U.S. attorneys. I thought that was kind of interesting, too, that they didn't. But they were mentioning that, hey, some stuff was going on. Where is it? The existence of that grand jury was revealed in a leak last September 6th. That did come out. That, yes, on September 6th, I remember reading that. I believe it was CNN that put it out. That, yeah, there was a grand jury investigation of McCabe going on. Note that they don't ask for any update on the grand jury investigation into McCabe that had been meeting for months by the time it was revealed last September. If these guys are playing a role of being clueless, they're doing a really great job of it. Well, then he goes on, he says, look at the opinion polls on Spygate. The ground has been prepared. Now, here's where I think this is the heart of why I wanted to make this video for you. Because look at the opinion polls on Spygate. The ground has been prepared. The majority of those polled now understand what happened. A year and a half ago, was that true? Of course not. The constant drip, drip, drip rollout of the plot, carefully managed, has done its work. If Trump launched major prosecutions in 2017 without public support and tried to explain after the fact, how well would that have worked, do you think? Even mid-2018, the ground wasn't ready yet, but now it is. Many commentators never had any faith in Trump to begin with, and are right now spinning tales about how he's stupidly been fooled again by appointing Barr, etc., etc., argle, bargle, barf. You just got done watching Trump epically troll D.C. over the wall funding. He knew all along he was going to get the money from the Department of Defense as commander-in-chief, and Congress couldn't do jack to stop him. How many months did it take him to set that up? See, Trump knew all along that's where he was going to get the money. He was stringing them out because what happened? First of all, it was to expose them and show where their real priorities lie. Because we now know, beyond a shadow of a doubt, we know that they are more interested in open borders than they are in the American people. They just want to be in control of things. And they're willing to sacrifice the security of the American people to get their control. He also needed to stretch it out further, I think, because other things had to happen and information had to come out before it was time to put all this together. What we call Spygate is more massive and far-reaching than most of you know. I've tried to explain the actual scope of this several times. Then I gave up and decided to just let it happen. Uranium One, Russian moles, massive bribery scandals, illegal spying on Congress. I think it's probably even bigger than he knows at this point. But there's a lot to it. And he goes on, he says, entire CIA networks being rolled up, massive exposure of top classified intelligence, including special access programs. Most people have no idea that this goes far beyond just spying on the Trump campaign during the 2016 election. People who keep screaming, well, hurry up already, have no idea of the real scope and how far-reaching this is. This had to be carefully managed to avoid a societal collapse. I am not joking. And that's a big part of it. You see, we're not just talking about something that is a minor scandal or it's going to take us back just a little bit. This is something that could cause a societal collapse. And that's why it had to be done very carefully, very meticulously, and that's why it's taken so long. I know I'm as anxious as the rest of you to see this happen, but we can't rush it. It's got to be done right. We only get one chance at this, and if it's not done right, then it's all for nothing. When you begin rolling all this out, the ground has to be ready, or there will be massive upheaval. The extent and depth of the corruption is staggering. Trump had to solidify control of federal agencies chock full of spies and saboteurs. This was literally all of 2017, part of 2018. I don't know. I think they're still dealing with some spies and saboteurs, to be honest. When this gets rolled out, Democrats, DNC media, Never Trump, etc. are going to realize that it's really being done. They're serious about not just airing all this stuff out, but also about prosecuting the people that did it. They are going to try to literally start a civil war. So people who say Trump and his team should have pulled the trigger on this back in 2017 were always clueless. They didn't understand the extent of this and that the country itself hangs in the balance if this is mishandled. See, that's the issue, folks. If it's done wrong, then we're going to lose our country, because it is that ingrained throughout all of our levels of government. And that's the problem we have. This is so bad. The corruption is so horrible. And it's to such an extent that if it's not done right, it will be lost. And that's why it's taking time. Be patient. I know it's hard, but you've got to be patient. It's coming. So no, the perps are not going to be allowed to walk away scot-free after all they were doing has been fully exposed to the public. But the public exposure had to come first and had to be accepted by most of the public before taking the next step. And people who can't see that or accept that have more problems than I can help them with. Trump knows what he's doing. And I think that's very important. You had to have the public know about it first. And it couldn't be just dumped on them, because I don't know about you, but if somebody comes to me and they hand me a 500-page document, chances are very good I'm not going to sit and read it. If they hand me a page every day of a document that's 500 pages long, I'm going to probably read each page at a time. So you see, it had to be done slow. It had to be done so that people could see little by little, and they got this bit and that bit. They followed along with it, but it wasn't overwhelming. And that was important that they did it that way. He does have an addendum. Forgot a point I was going to make. In 2017, we had Antifa holding major riots in many cities. Remember that? Now, thanks to Sessions and others, they were dispersed and now only cause problems in deepest blue places like Portland, Oregon. Well, that's true. That's definitely true. So, the attempted coup, which treason, opens the public door to more serious. The pill must be easy to swallow. The lead-in, the public must be prepared for what is about to come. The Clinton Foundation and the things that go along with that. So for those who are interested, you can go see Brian Cates and you can follow him on Twitter if you want to, but I wanted to share that with you. The whole point of it is that it took time to get to this point. There was a lot of stage setting that had to be done first. A lot of things they had to deal with. They had to clear out massive number of people that were in their way, that were blocking things and were working for the deep state. So if you're frustrated, I understand, but please be patient. It's getting very close, and we're starting to see some major things happen. We're on the verge of a miracle, and the miracle is going to work out just like they've planned, and we're starting to see the fruits of that. We're going to see more in the next couple of months. So hang in there, Patriots. Things are happening. Thanks for stopping by, and I'll see y'all later.